From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now, or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
What does NFT stand for? Does it stand for no fun time? Or does it stand for new fun time? Does it stand for... Wait, what are some other ones? Let's just make some things up.
Nascent frog tremble?
Nascent frog tremble. That's great.
How about neo-fascist troglodytes?
Neo-fascist troglodytes. Yes. Nazi cave people. Yes. Does it stand for nearly fanny time? That's filthy in the UK. It doesn't stand for any of those things, but we'll tell you what it does stand for and why it's got so many people fascinated. NFT, despite all the awesome acronyms we just made up, NFT is a real thing. It stands for non-fungible token. And fungible in this case has nothing to do with fungi.
It's a weird one. I thought that was a made-up word. I was not aware of this in economic parlance, but it apparently means like one-to-one, right? So a Bitcoin is fungible. You can trade one for another, and you'll have the same thing. In the crypto universe, a token is a representation of a thing, some building block in this ecosystem, right? Non-fungible means exactly what it sounds like. It means it is one thing and one thing alone. It cannot be traded for another thing because another thing like that doesn't exist, right? It can't be replaced with something else. There's no parity. There's no equivalent. So one of the first uses was a game called Cryptokitties. Ben, you got to tell us about Cryptokitties. I was not aware of this.
Yeah, Cryptokitties. So Cryptokitties is interesting. It is a blockchain game. And what it allows you to do when you play it is to purchase, collect, breed, and sell cats that are entirely virtual. This got so popular in 2017 that it jammed up the Ethereum network, slowing it down significantly as it reached its all-time high number of transactions. Back in 2018, when the game was also still really popular, someone bought a non-fungible token, a digital cat from the game for, get this, $172,000 US, real money. And what they got for that was really, yes, in technical terms, they got this long blockchain, right? But what they got was an image of, I'll say it, a quite cool cartoon cat, right? But is it $172,000 cool? How much would you pay for an image?
Yeah, this is my problem. And I feel like I'm just not understanding something.
No, I think you probably likely are.
No, you're buying this image. So you own the image, but you can't make money on owning that image.
You don't own the rights to the image. You own this particular assembly of these pixels in this form,
yes,
in that way, even though it can still be screenshotted and it can still exist as an image on an Instagram for people to look at and enjoy. But you own what? The higher resolution? That's okay. I'm with you, man. What is it? What are you getting? Like, are you getting some mega high 4K version that you couldn't achieve with a screenshot? Because I know people are taking these and you can get a digital frame and you can throw one of these into these digital frames and then have it in your house. There's an art show at a local gallery called ABV Gallery that this local mural artist Greg Mike owns. They're doing an NFT show, and in the gallery is just a bunch of TVs, like a bunch of vertically positioned TVs with these images. Many of them are animated. Most of them are. I think all of them maybe are animated. I don't know about that, but that's definitely the popular version of these. And they loop. They're like a looping animated image, like a GIF or something, but higher resolution.
Yeah, so there are a couple of things that qualify as what I would call ownership here. I don't know that it is fair to say they meet the requirements of what constitutes ownership in the pre-NFT world. There's a great way to explain this. Shout out to Mitchell Clark over at The Verge. Let's say you are deep in the trading card game and you have a very rare or somehow unique trading card, like Pokemon. You have the Pikachu Illustrator. That's a rare Pokemon card, from what I understand, and you trade it for a super rare, very old baseball card from like the turn of the 20th century, and you've completed your trade. But now you have something totally different from what you started with. Also, important note, Matt, people can sell NFTs after they purchase them. And there's a weird system set up for it. So maybe that makes a little more sense. I like Mitchell Clark's example, but there's another one I thought that I want to see what you guys think. It made a little more sense to me. Let's think about borrowing $100 versus borrowing a car. So let's say you go to Paul Mission Control and you're like, hey man, can I borrow $100? And Paul, being a mensch, says, yeah, of course you can borrow it. Just pay me back next week or whatever. So he'll expect you to pay him $100 next Wednesday or Thursday or whenever. But he'll just want some form of $100 back. He's not reasonably going to expect you to come back with the exact same $100 bill. And yes, peek behind the curtain, folks. Paul only uses $100 bills. It's very weird to be with him at restaurants.
Can confirm.
Except for
Splitting a tip.
Applebee's, where he eats for free. But yeah, so we could confirm that that's real. But let's say instead, let's say the same day you borrow $100 from Paul, you go to Codename Doc Holiday and you ask to borrow her car. And because she's awesome, she lets you borrow her car. And you say, okay, I'll bring it back to you, next Wednesday or Thursday or whenever. But so you come back to Paul and Alexis and you give Paul, two 50s. And he's like, what are these? Because he's only ever seen $100 bill. But he believes you because it adds up to 100. But then, Doc is like, where's my car? And you're like, well, I brought you a car back. That's a car. Then she would say, no, bro. My car is my car. I gave you my car and I would like my car back. That's where a car would be a non-fungible token. And this $100 bill would be more like a Bitcoin. And NFTs are the crypto version of this. They can literally be anything. That's the other thing. They can be anything that you can digitally depict.
Totally. Like, for example, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey recently sold the first tweet, as an NFT for $2.9 million.
So that tweet is then encrypted in this very specific encryption, and now it's an NFT.
You attach an NFT to the asset. And that's so it's not like that's not the NFT itself. It's the thing that you attach to it that then verifies a chain of custody. It's essentially like a digital authenticity report. But what the hell does that mean, though? How do you own a tweet? I could screenshot that tweet and put it in a digital frame. To me, it's a fetishization of ownership is what a lot of this is.
That's not an unfair way to say it because, it reminds me of the story that keeps coming up when we explore these kinds of things about the emperor's new clothes, which we'll wax poetic on later. But you're right. So drawing, music, animation, video clip, digital art, you buy the NFT, yet you still own it, quote unquote, whatever that new idea of ownership is. But other people can just right click and save it when they see it. Other people can, Other people can right click, save it. And then if they have a printer, they can print it out and they can frame it themselves. And they own an iteration of that.
Well, it's like when Martin Shkreli bought that Wu-Tang Clan album. He had it. He could do whatever he wanted with it. He could have lorded it over everyone like he pretty much did, or he could distribute it to the world. That's different. That's like a one-of-a-kind thing that he and only he has access to and has the rights to do with what he will. This is not that. So I'm very confused as well, Matt, about the draw in terms of Why spend, $3 million on the first tweet when like you can just, look at it? It's this idea to me of like, I own the first tweet, and that's cute. And it also means that the only people that are doing this for that level of cash are people that can afford to do cute things with that kind of money.
So that's the tweet example is funny to me because in the Verge article that I just cited, the journalist had to update their article because they originally said selling a tweet as an NFT as a joke, and then Dorsey did it, and they had to go back in the article and say, hey, we were joking, but this guy did it. We don't know if he read the article. But people paid much more than what they paid for that tweet. One NFT was auctioned at Christie's. So congratulations to Mike Winkleman, a.k.a. Beeple, a digital artist who sold an NFT there for, Paul, can we get a drum roll, please? Yes, 69 million very real dollars. And it's a lot. These are by design meant to give the purchaser, again, that quote unquote ownership. And it is ownership as a concept. You could also, even on the artist side, let's say I sell an NFT of something that I have painted, then I would still have that physical painting. I very well could. And then I could just create more NFTs of the same thing, just the same image with different blockchains attached. And now it's like I've made prints. Now you have a number 3 of 100 of Ben Bolin Quesadilla Study number 7 or something.
I love your work, Ben. I love that series. But I have to ask though, is there an inherent agreement or an implicit implicit wouldn't be enough. Is there an agreement, contractual or otherwise, for the artist to never make another thing like that again?
In some cases, because again, this has doesn't have any kind of sweeping regulation. And the idea is that necessarily doesn't, because you download this thing or you print it out and you own it, even though you never bought the NFT, you don't own it NFT wise, but isn't possession 9/10 of the law? I mean, this caught on pretty quickly. Now we're talking about a multi-million-dollar market. I think the three of us have raised some really great questions at the jump here. Most directly, why mess with this? Why have them? Well, it's great if you're an artist. If you're Beeple, of course, you can absolutely understand why people are calling this an evolution in fine art collecting. You can sell new stuff in a new way. That's dope. You can also make a lot more money off a digital thing that maybe you otherwise would have sold as like a sticker or something. Because if you look at these, a lot of these are really cute little pieces of pixel art, or some of them, right? And that wouldn't have been like if you saw that on an app store as an emoji or something, would you have paid for it? Or would you have just like waited until there was a whole pack of emoji to download for 99 cents or something, or wait for a next OS update where then it's just folded into it? That's what's happening. And to Ben. What?
Let's start making original stuff they don't want you to know videos again, but exclusively as NFTs. Come on, dude. Let's make millions of dollars for people who just have Ethereum sitting around and they don't know what to do with it all. Let's do it.
That's a really good point. That's one I hadn't thought about. Oh, okay. Wait, we got to get back to that one. That's a very good point. That's a crazy point. Well, here's another benefit for the artist, though. You can enable a feature on an NFT, the bulk of which are on Ethereum, that pays you a kind of residual. So every time your work is sold or changes hands, you get a little cut of the deal. And that didn't happen with a lot of classic oil paintings or whatever. That didn't happen for Leonardo da Vinci or Picasso or any of the masters of the craft. But it's a little different for buyers. I mean, it's a flex, right? Ultimately, it's a kind of a playground of the rich. Look what I can do. I've got an NFT gallery next to my dirigible collection, and I don't know, in a positive way, it is a new way to support artists you like. That's cool, right? You've got artist that you think is a really important voice in the world and you want to financially support them, then you could say, hey, I will buy your NFT. I feel like it's a creative way of donating in some way. And yeah, you get usage rights, but I don't think you would find somebody using an NFT that they didn't buy or an image from an NFT that they didn't buy on their Instagram profile. I don't think you would see them getting sued, right? They would just take it down. I don't know how you enforce it, or why you would bother. But it's only unique in that it's a token on the blockchain. So it's in this weird, I know this phrase gets overused so often. It's in this weird liminal space. I'm so sorry.
I like it.
It's true though. It's true.
Right there in between.
It fits so many things. It is a very useful phrase. So an NFT, if we think about it, is kind of designed to be both a Mona Lisa, only one exists. There's only one real Mona Lisa and the rest are forgeries. But it's also it has the capability to be a Honda Civic. You can just, especially if you're the artist, you could just take the same thing and then say, okay, this is a different non-fungible token. And now there are thousands. Logan Paul from YouTube has made some video clips of his existing videos as NFTs.
Mm-hmm. Grimes, the once kind of indie electro weirdo kind of outsider artist who became more and more popular with every record and then kind of really jumped the shark by having a baby with Elon Musk. She sold $6 million worth of NFTs, various kind of digital imagery kind of collages like that were collaborations that she did with another artist. Something called the War Nymph collection. Some of it was like set to music, and a lot of this stuff, since it is so new, there are a few portals to getting this stuff where artists have like accounts, like you would on a social media platform. The most popular one I think is called Nifty Gateway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's where she sold her stuff.
I see. Yeah, and so the question then is, what does this mean for the future? What can NFTs specifically lead to? Here we enter trickier water. Don't forget, this is the same species that went absolutely nuts and bananas for Pogs, for Beanie Babies, for countless other crazes.
Magic the Gathering.
I was going to say, Matt, I thought of you because Magic the Gathering, I don't think counts as a fad or a craze anymore. It's been around too long. It's here.
That thing's forever.
It's here. And if NFTs are just a craze, how long will they last? And if there's more to it than that, then what's the stuff they don't want you to know about NFTs? Here's where it gets crazy.